correct?
Right. We can also talk about some body weight training as well. Now, when people think about body weight training, typically we're talking things like just body weight lunges. Um, I'll demonstrate one here real quick. Air
All right.
squats, like this, where they're squatting down,
Right.
lunging, pull-ups, push-ups, that kind of thing. So those are body weight. Now, if you add weight to those, like a bar on your back to do squats, or bar on your or back to do lunges, or if you're doing, let's say, a military press, or some people like doing a bench press, those are similar type of activities. Whenever you add a load to your body, like a dumbbell or a barbell, it tends to load the limbs more, whereas body weight training tends to focus a little bit more on the core.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And are you sitting on a yoga ball or a Swiss ball right now?
Yeah, I'm sitting on a stability ball. Yes,
Okay. Is that what you use for your office chair?
absolutely.
So I don't want to take us too far off track, but why do you do that? What are the benefits of sitting on one of those things?
Well, because it's active sitting. When you're sitting in a chair, just a normal everyday chair, you tend to not move very much. I can do moving side to side, forward and backwards. I can do some bouncing around like this.
Whoa.
You're more active. You get more fluid to the spine. You get more core development. Get some blood flowing, some spinal fluid going. You're not locked into one spot. You don't tighten your back up as much, your hip flexors up as much. Now, having said that, this is still not as good as getting up and moving around, but
Sure.
it's better than just sitting and just locked in like this,
Yeah.
like you're cast in stone for hours upon hours on your keyboard or whatever you're doing, or even eating for that matter.
Gotcha. I think you've sold me. I sit at my desk all day, and the only active sitting I do is in the latrine. But I will buy one of those. Um,
That's
so
too much information, Chris.
sorry, we talk about that stuff on this show.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know. Yeah.
so weight training. Now, years ago, I remember there were big arguments about, well, do you do cardio? Cardio exercise? Do you do strength training exercise? Tonight, we're focusing on strength training, but I do feel like the science and the research over the years has painted weight training in a better and better light as
Oh,
far as
yeah,
overall
definitely.
health for you.
If you go back to the 1950s and 60s, people thought that if you lift your weights too much, you get too muscle bound. Now, let me just say this about strength training versus cardiovascular training.
Okay.
The two can work together, but they're not extremely compatible. If you're going to do an immense amount of cardiovascular training, you will not get very strong in terms of your strength and power.
Mm-hmm.
If you do an immense amount of strength power training only, you will not really improve your cardiovascular endurance. So the two really don't mix very well. The best mix you have is to do interval circuit type of training, high intensity circuit training. For example, if I'm going to sit on this ball here, I've got two dumbbells by my side, and I'm going to do a dumbbell press sitting on this ball. I do them real, real slow.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm going to stand up. I'm going to back up so you can see me better. And I do jumping jacks.
You're a blur. Wow.
Now I do this for 30 seconds, which I'm not going to do right now. But I do this for 30 seconds. So now we're working in some strength and some cardio. You're getting the heart rate going. You're getting some muscle development. That is one of the better ways for you to attack both, and also to build muscle and to stimulate the heart rate, to stimulate adrenaline. That's going to help you lose body fat and gain muscle. Not really at the same time, but it can help both. It depends on the person, but in essence, you can attack both body fat and build muscle.
Gotcha. And that's the type of stuff that we do when I come and work out with you. We do a
Right.
lot of high intensity interval type training, circuit
Right.
stuff. And yeah, to me, it's just more fun than doing just lifting or just some type of cardio, running or whatever.
Now, let me back up here. I'll
Sure.
go back to the dumbbells again. Let's say
Your
I do
show.
the same thing in military press. I have a lot of weight. I don't have a lot of weight right now. Let's say I have 50-pound dumbbells in each hand.
Uh-huh.
I do about 3-4 reps. I put the weights down and I rest for 2 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Now we're just developing what? Strength.
Muscular strength. Yeah.
We're not really attacking any cardiovascular component at all.
Yeah.
Now, for somebody who wants to put on a lot of bulk, who's training for more of a power strength event, maybe a power lifter, maybe an athlete in football or rugby or something like that, who needs to be able to push off his opponents more, physically dominate his opponents, that is more applicable. For somebody, let's say like a swimmer. Swimmers don't really want a lot of bulk necessarily, but they want to be lean. I would add a component of weights and a little bit of 1 minute cardiovascular burst, or maybe 30-second cardiovascular burst, just to stimulate both systems.
Gotcha. Now, when it comes to weights, do you prefer free weights or machine weights, or?
I'm a free weight person. The reason I like free weights is because it takes more stability. For example, going back to my dumbbell one more time, if I'm on the ball here and I'm doing this, when I'm doing this, it takes a lot of core strength through my midsection and obliques to stabilize my body. I can also stand up and do these. You guys see me all right?
Yeah, sure can. Looking
Okay.
good.
Just doing that.
Yeah.
Now I switch over here. Now the force is coming from left to the right. Can you see here? From the left top to the bottom right. Now I switch. The force is coming from top right to the left bottom, all across the midsection, the shoulders, and even in my back here, my lats and the back of my shoulders. So you can't really simulate that with a machine weight.
Gotcha. So you just get
machine weights are already stabilized for you. That's not how we function as human beings. When we go out in the real world, we walk, we run. If you're a primitive person, you crawl, you climb, you jump, you strike. And when you do that, you're very unstable. That's the reason why people become injured, is because when they do work out, they do everything in a nice, comfortable, stable environment. You have to train in a very unstable environment, but don't go too far, hurt yourself. Training with some instability will help to improve your stability.
I remember you giving me an example one time about somebody that maybe lifts weights a lot and they're very strong, but they just like do bench press or something very stable. Then they're at the airport, they're going to get their heavy bag off the luggage carousel, and they pick it up, which is easy for them because they're strong. But when they turn to put it down, they get hurt because their body's not used to the movement with weight.
Because they're too one-dimensional. There's 3 dimensions of movement. There's frontal movement, where you go side to side.
Okay.
Okay. So if I go side to side like this, that's called the frontal plane. If I go forward and backwards like this, or squatting up and down like this, that's called the sagittal plane, or vertical. If I twist around like this, that's called the transverse rotational plane. Now, where do most injuries occur? They occur when you're doing twisting or you're going side to side. You look at a sport like football or rugby. When an athlete, let's say a football athlete, changes directions, he blows his knee out if he's not very strong in the frontal plane. Gotcha. Very seldom do you ever see an athlete blow a knee out if he's just running straight ahead. Usually it's when they're going side to side, or they jump and they land, they twist, they put some twist and some movement of that knee, and it's unstable. That is why you want to train in a very 3-dimensional, somewhat unstable environment, because that will help to strengthen the muscles and the joints.
We want to train 3-dimensional, unstable. And I will say, speaking of joints, you know, I went to you several years ago, took a hiatus. I came back. When I came back and we were lifting again, I was like, man, I don't know if my joints can take this. But I actually found that by continuing to lift, my joints felt better. And I don't experience that pain anymore. So I don't know if it was psychosomatic and all up here in my dome, or something about exercising, you know, just made the joints stronger. I don't know.
Well, muscles are attached to your joints. Your quadricep is attached to the knee. The hamstring in the back of your leg is attached to your knee. Your calf muscle, which is called your gastrocnemius, is attached to your knee. Your pectoralis major here is attached to the AC joint of the shoulder. You have muscles in the back, like your posterior deltoid, that are attached to the back of your shoulder. And so when muscles become weak, they would throw the movement of the joint off. For example, if I'm going to throw a ball and my shoulder stability is not very well, that's how pitchers in baseball become injured, because they put so much load on that throw. Your joint becomes unstable and you have almost bone rubbing against bone there. You don't want that. You want muscles. The main job of muscle is to take up the load from the force. You don't want joints taking up the force. You want muscles to absorb the force. Muscles are like shock absorbers. Joints are not very good shock absorbers. Joints are more avascular, meaning that there's very minimal, if any, circulation through your joint.
Oh,
but you have a lot of blood flow to the muscle.
interesting. Now, I have heard, and you can either confirm or deny this, that if you want to get lean, you do light weights, lean and toned light weights with lots of reps. If you want to get bulk, you do heavy weights with fewer reps. Is there truth
Not
to that?
necessarily true.
Okay.
That is not necessarily true. I'm glad you asked that question, because it leads me to the next topic. Sets, reps, tempo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll do arm curls now. Let's say I do a set of arm curls.
Okay.
Okay. I just did 3 or 4 reps. I put the weights down. I rest for a minute. I do another set. I just did 2 sets, right?
Right.
Okay.
I'm tracking.
Now I can change the dynamics of what I'm doing by going heavier. Let's say now I've got 40 pounds in each hand, and I go really, really, really slow.
That's slow. You ain't lying.
That's really, 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 really slow.
Yep.
What if I just do 2 reps like that?
That'd probably wear you out.
That's loading the muscle, right? By decreasing the speed of the movement, you're adding more load to the muscle. Now I can load it a different way too. I have 15-pound dumbbells. What if I go really, really fast?
Well,
I do this for 20 reps. Am I loading the muscle still?
I'm going to say you are. That's my
Yes,
answer.
you are.
Yeah.
You're loading it in a different fashion though, because with speed like that, it's more neuromuscular, meaning that you have more neuro muscle working together, brain and muscle. So if I'm working, if I'm training, let's say a boxer, he wants to improve his hand speed, I might have him do curls really fast. If I'm training, let's say a bodybuilder who wants to get really big biceps, I might have him train really, really slow. Not necessarily with a lot of weight, don't always, but I can change up the dynamic by increasing the tempo, by decreasing the tempo. Now, getting back to weight loss. Most people I train with probably want to lose weight. I'll go back to what we talked about earlier. You gotta contrast it with something else. So I do a set of shoulder flies now, like this.
Beautiful.
Okay. And I might even pause at the top. I might do a couple of pauses. We do those in our class sometimes, don't we, Chris?
We sure do.
I pause like this for about 5 seconds. I'm really loading my shoulders. I don't have a lot of weight in my hands right now, but I can feel it burning.
Right.
Okay. I just did, let's say I'll do 2 pause reps. Okay. There's 2. Now I'll go real fast.
Dude, your shoulder's got to be on fire by now.
Okay. Now I get a jump rope and I jump rope for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're working strength and muscular. For someone who's trying to lose weight, that is what I recommend more. For someone who's trying to put on bulk, and I have athletes, not just athletes, but even people that are not that athletic, who want to put on more muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to slow the tempo down and force more blood to the muscle tissue to isolate the joint and the muscle. If I'm trying to lose weight, I might have the person go faster. And one of your favorite things to do, Chris?
Oh, God, I know what's coming.
String jerks.
Oh, they're the worst. The absolute worst. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Looking good, though. You could be a marching cobra. Look at you go.
Now,
You okay, Chris?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I hate
I
those.
just did that for about 10 reps.
Uh-huh.
We go really, really, really fast with a light amount of weight. Am I still adding load to the body by going faster? Say yes.
I'm going to say yes.
Yes. Why? Because you're going faster. The faster you go, the more load to the joints, to the muscles.
Gotcha.
Another way to load it more is to go slower, reps with a pause, tempo. Another way to load it. Now, if you want to add bulk, typically, I'm going to say about 8 to 12 reps for bulk and strength.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to lose weight, I'm going to say anywhere from 10 to 20 reps.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay? Go faster, a faster tempo. But be careful with fast tempo exercises. Here's one caveat. Don't have crappy technique. You can get hurt. So know what the hell you're doing. So if I'm going to go back and do my arm curls here again, I'm just kind of swinging my hips into it. See? That's not very good technique.
Right.
Okay? If you have some bad elbow joints, I wouldn't recommend going real fast either.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going at kind of a moderate speed right now, kind of a moderate tempo. See that?
Yep. Sure
Now,
do.
if I pause it here,
Oh, your load. You're increasing your load.
I'm loading it, baby.
Yeah.
Okay? Pause it here for a few seconds. Now go back to my moderate tempo again. You see that?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to do about 10 to 15, maybe 20 reps like that, where I load, pause, go a little bit faster, pause again, go a little faster. Now we're working the muscle for weight loss and for some muscle tone.
Yeah.
See, here's the problem with a lot of individuals. I'm becoming more focused in the way I talk to people and train people about, instead of worrying about losing a ton of body fat, let's muscle up. Because if you focus on putting on more muscle, you'll lose your body fat. The problem with the mindset of too many people is that they're so focused, myopically focused on just losing body fat. You have to put on muscle. Muscles are important. Why? Because muscles make myokines. We talked about this before in our other podcast. Myokines are like hormones made by the muscles that communicate with different tissues of the body. Muscles also normally attach to your spinal column, from the cervical down to the bottom, your lumbar,
Yeah.
okay, and your sacral. Now, through the spine runs nerves. And where do nerves go? Nerves go to different tissues of the body, different organs, kidneys, gallbladder, heart, lungs, testicles.
Right. Whoa.
Okay? Yes, Chris.
Oh.
Testicles. Okay. Even up to your brain, for that matter. So there's all kinds of nerves that run through the spinal area. That's why you have to get those spinal muscles stronger. Even with your bicep. People don't realize this. The bicep comes from right here in the shoulder joint,
Yeah.
attaches to the elbow, and also part of the bicep wraps around, attaches to part of your lumbar spine back here.
Your
Lumbar,
your
right
upper
here,
dorsimus. Right. Yeah.
Right. Your tricep also attaches on your scapula, which is your shoulder blades.
Mm-hmm.
So your bicep muscles and your tricep muscles attach to the scapula and the back of your shoulders.
Both do. Oh,
They
wow.
both do, yes. Okay, there's certain tendons from leading off the bicep and triceps that attach to the scapula. Now, when you see people with bad posture like this, slouching, and I see it's called a wing scapula, that shoulder blade sticking out, that tells me that something is going on with their neck. They need to work on, getting the muscles back here stronger. They might be doing things too much, like, for example, a guy that bench presses all the time and doesn't do anything else.
Yeah.
He's going to look like this. Going to pull his shoulders forward.
Sure.
He needs to do something else, like some bent over rows or
Yeah.
some pull-ups and chin-ups. Those body weight exercises. He needs to straighten out his back, because when you start doing this too much, that slouching, it overloads your body and your neck. You start developing all kinds of pains in your neck and your shoulder. It can even turn into numbness and tingling. So you don't want that. You get forward head posture, which can cause a lot of neck issues and headache issues and nerve transmission issues. So the main thing that you want is good technique with lifting. And that's why you call a guy like me.
Sure.
Because I'm going to look at your technique. I'm going to evaluate your technique. We might need to make a few subtle changes in your technique of how you're lifting. Because some people say, well, I like to lift, but it just hurts me now. Well, you're probably not doing something right. Either you need to change up your form, the sets, the reps, the tempo, the load, the rest intervals, how long you're resting between sets. So getting back to my curls again, if I do a set of curls, I just did 10 reps. I put the weights down and I pick them back up 30 seconds after that. Now I decrease the rest intervals. What if I went 1 minute intervals? It doesn't burn the muscles as much. If I go 15-second intervals in between sets, sets and rest intervals, that's really going to load the muscles more. So there's a lot of different ways that we can load the muscle. We can adjust the rest interval. We can adjust the tempo. We can adjust how much weight you're using. We can adjust the reps and the sets. But basically what you want to do, you want to load and overload the muscle, meaning that you're going to take the muscle to the point where you can't hardly do it.
Gotcha. And I think, you brought up an important key there, I think, of, going to a guy like you. I know a lot of people go to the gym and they don't know what to do. And, you walk in someplace and what do you see over by the weights? You see the muscle head guys with the skinny legs and they've got balloons under their arms walking around like this. And it can be intimidating or just like, I don't want to be with those, those dunderheads. So
if you go to a gym, typically, here's what you're going to see. You go in the weight room part of the gym. Who's mainly working out in there?
Well, the muscle head dudes.
The men. You go to the cardio area. Who's mainly working out there?
It's the women and the men who are secure in their sexuality, like me.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Mainly women in the cardio area.
Right.
Men in the strength area.
Yeah.
What they need to do is they need to intermix both. Some of the men need to do more cardio, and a lot of the women need to do more of the strength. Because here, I'll bring up another topic. It's gotten better today, but back when I was in high school, back in the 70s, women were afraid to lift weights. Why? Because they thought they were going to look like a man.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's kind of changed today, really. But there are some women who are still intimidated by weightlifting.
Right.
Women need to put on more bulk and muscle. I'm not talking about bodybuilder bulk. I'm talking about just good, lean, healthy muscle tissues.
Right.
Men usually like to lift weights more because, they like to be more aggressive. But men typically need to focus a little bit more on mobility and some stretching and that kind of thing. So, because a lot of guys are tight, but both are important because as you get older, typically you get a little bit stiffer.
Mm-hmm.
And women tend to lose muscle tissue. Now men lose it too. They just don't lose it as fast as women do. Women tend to usually be more flexible than men in their joints,
Yeah.
whereas women aren't usually as muscular. That's the thing holding them back. And
Gotcha.
you have to have good muscularity, like I said, because muscles make myokines.
Yes.
Myokines are hormones.
Yeah.
Now with the guys, gentlemen, you need to do a little bit more stretching, not necessarily passive stretching, active type of stretching. Like stuff we do it in class, the 10 soldiers,
Yep.
leg swings, karaoke, skips, body weight lunges with a stretch, more active type stretching, because there's certain things about yoga I don't like. I don't believe it's good for most people to hold a stretch for 2 minutes in one position like that.
Uh-huh.
Um, because sometimes, that's not the best thing to do in terms of putting on more muscularity like you want. So, and, I know people who do a lot of cardio. For example, if you go out and you run 5 miles a day, if you're training for a marathon, which I have no desire to do myself, but let's say you are.
Me neither, coach.
Okay. Let's say you run 5 to 8 miles a day. Chances are that's going to hurt your muscularity. You're not going to be as muscular
Right.
because you're not addressing the strength issues like you should. When you train with weights and strength, I'm going to throw a term at you here. You tend to be more glycolytic. Glycolytic meaning that you burn sugar.
Okay.
Thus the term glucose. When you do a lot of weightlifting, you tend to burn a lot of glucose, glycogen. When
Uh-huh.
you do a lot of running, distance running, you tend to burn more. Well, yeah, you burn more. You'll burn fat, but you also burn a lot of muscle too. So you burn off muscle and fat. But running distance tends to be more oxidative.
Oxidative.
Yeah, oxidative meaning that you're going to start getting into tissues like muscles. You'll burn some fat running too. Now, don't get me wrong. You lose some body fat, but you tend, when you do a lot of distance running, to lose muscle tissue as well.
Well, it's interesting. Just eyeball tests, looking at world-class athletes. If you look at distance runners,
Skinny.
they tend not to have much muscle
Like my
tone.
finger.
Yes, exactly. But then you look at the sprinters and
built.
they are built. Yes. Yeah,
Right.
they look like football players or boxers. Yeah.
Well, some people don't want to look that bulky. I understand that. But you want to be lean. Most people want to be lean and they want to
Yeah.
be muscular.
Yep.
Okay, you want to have some definition in your arms and your legs. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas, like I said, if you go out and do a lot of distance running, like I said, the two don't work together. If you do a lot of distance, you're going to lose strength. If you do a lot of strength, you're going to lose some endurance.
Yeah.
So you got to pick and choose what you want to do. But like I said, you can do a hybrid of both. It depends. If I'm going to train an athlete, let's say, if I'm going to train a 100-meter sprinter, track and field, it takes about 10 seconds to run 100 meters, maybe 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe 4.
I'm not going to have that athlete do a lot of distance stuff. It'd be stupid. In fact, it would probably inhibit his speed. It would hurt his speed. Now, on the other hand, if I'm going to train somebody who's, let's say, a marathon runner, okay, I'm not going to have that person do a lot of, I call them bulky weightlifting type stuff. I'll have them do some strength work, but it's not going to be a lot of stuff to put on a lot of bulk, because you don't want that. Because you go out and run 26 miles, you don't want to be real bulky. You want to be thinner. Just like a bicyclist. Let's say you ride your bike for 100 miles a day with some guys, they call them centuries. The lighter on that bike you are, the more endurance you have.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense.
So I don't know if I answered any of your questions or not, but it all comes back to what you want as an individual. Some people want to be light. They don't want to be real bulky, but they want to be strong and they want to be well toned. That's good to know. If I'm working with somebody who's a high school wrestler or a football player, they want to put on more mass. That person got to train different than Chris Whiting does, because they're not trying to lose a lot of weight. They want to put more bulk on. Therefore, I'm going to change the dynamics of sets, reps, tempo, rest intervals, etc.
Hey, thanks for bringing up my need to lose weight. Appreciate that. You know,
Yes,
you talked a little bit about the aging thing. Um, can people continue to lift weights up in their 70s, 80s?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. In fact, I highly recommend it. The
Wow.
more the merrier.
Yeah.
The only thing you have to worry about is I wouldn't do it every day, maybe just 3 days a week, or maybe at the most 4 days a week. But typically, I'm going to say about 2 to 3 days a week is enough. If you're talking about somebody who's getting into their mid 60s and 70s, cut down the volume.
Uh-huh.
You know, when I was a young athlete, college, even when I got out of college up to about age 40, I would do 2 hour workouts,
Oh
which
my
was
gosh.
dumb to do because eventually I kept hurting myself and I could not figure out why because I was doing too much.
Uh-huh.
When I was younger, I could do that.
Right.
Okay. When I got into my 40s, I couldn't do that anymore because it was hurting. But what I did, I cut down the volume, the sets, I increased the load. Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
still went kind of heavy. I just didn't do as many sets.
Gotcha. So
So there's a lot of different ways to tweak your workout. Once again, sets, reps, rest interval, tempo, load.
yeah. So keep doing it throughout your life, but you've got to be smart. You've either got to know what you're doing or get somebody.
Right.
And I remember Jack LaLanne
Oh
up
yeah.
into his 80s or whatever. That guy could make a juice tiger in a jumpsuit look really good. He was still bulked up and yeah. So I guess you got to be smart, but there's it is intimidating for people. So it does help to go to somebody who knows what they're doing, who's done the research, who's done the study. You know, I'm so thrilled I get to go to your workout class. It's very helpful for me. If people want to work out with you, what do they do? How do they get in touch with you?
Well, contact me as soon as possible. 816-405-7703. Email is rwpsports@yahoo.com. I'm also on Facebook, which we're on right now too, Facebook Live.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, kind of fun. So any last topics you want to hit on before we wrap this one up, Roberto?
Well, no, just people out there, just be smart about what you're doing. Find somebody who's a good trainer, a good coach, a good practitioner who has a background in strength and conditioning or personal training. And that's another thing I want to add on real quick.
Yeah.
There is a difference between a personal trainer and a strength and conditioning coach. A strength and conditioning coach is someone who works more with high level athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Personal trainers tend to work more with general population individuals who are trying to just improve their, their mobility, their stability, lose some weight for the most part. People who are high-powered athletes tend to want to improve their speed, their brute strength. So their goals are a little bit different. So if you go out and find yourself a trainer, get some background information on them. Make sure you check out their credentials because you don't want to get the wrong type of person. Because exercise is like a drug. If you prescribe the wrong type of medication, you get the wrong type of results. So it's like anything else. You got to find the right trainer and the right program that's going to fit you and your personality and your motivation levels, because everybody's not going to be highly motivated to lift weights. Some people mainly want to do body weight stuff. Some
Right.
people maybe just want to go twice a week. Some people are very competitive. They want to establish a new PR every time they come to the gym. So you got to find the right type of trainer that's going to match your motivation and your personality.
Yeah. And does PR stand for personal record?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought so. I work out. I know this stuff. Um, so, hey, so tell the good folks once again, if they want to talk to you and see if you're a good fit for them, if they want to learn from your expertise, get into some, high interval circuit training, tell them one more time how to get in touch with you.
816-405-7703. email us rwpsports@yahoo.com.
All right. Hey, Roberto, thank you again, as always. Enlightening, uplifting, eye-opening. Every time I always learn something. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you next time on the Health Detective Podcast.
Good evening, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks for listening to the Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker. You can contact Roberto at 816-405-7703 or by email at rwpsports@yahoo.com with any comment or question you may have. Join us next time for the Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker. The Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker has been a KCTK production, produced by Roberto Parker, Chris Whiting, and Paul Lavoda. All rights reserved. For more information and content, email us at kctkradio@gmail.com.